Welcome back to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, we have Monday Night Football picks and preview. All right, my three favorite free plays. Honestly, I had to do a lot of digging for these because I didn't see a lot of data that was in my favor, but I found three picks that I really like for this. All right, now before we get into today's picks, I'm going to recap real quickly Sunday Night Football picks and then the Sunday early slate. Let's start with Sunday Night Football. We were literally one Rashee Rice target away from cashing a 6x slip. His line was 8.5 receiving targets. He had like 4 maybe going into the second half, 5 going into like the fourth quarter. Didn't really feel great. And then he got a few more targets, but just didn't quite get it. Nico Collins had 100-plus receiving yards in the first half, so that cashed easy. Mahomes hit his rushing yards prop in the third quarter, cashed easy. So just really sad did not hit the Rashee Rice prop line. But and then going back to the Sunday early slate, we went for our 40x play. Man, that blew up in our face. Starting off, James Cook, his line was like 120.5, only had like 111 rushing and receiving yards combined. So like 1 or 2 plays away from him cashing. Chase Brown was like, his line was like 71.5 rushing receiving yards. Didn't even come close. Didn't even like go past 40. I guess the snow in that game probably hurt us pretty bad. So that kind of sucked. Even though that was a high scoring game too, which kind of odd. So it doesn't really add up a whole lot. David Sills didn't catch a ball, didn't do anything, so that was easy. His under receptions was easy. Lamar Jackson went 1 over his completions line. His line was 18.5, went at 19. I told you in the video, if he goes over, he's only going to go over by 1, because the only 2 other times he did, he went over by 1, and then the other time went over by like 2 or 3 completions. He went over by 1. He was going into the fourth quarter with like 13 completions, and then completed like 5 or 6 more balls. Really rough day. Honestly, Devon Achane was going to go over his line. He was like 10 or 15 away, and then he got hurt with a rib injury, so that pick got voided actually for us, which is pretty nice. But yeah, just kind of hurt. Who was the other pick? Oh, Tyjae Spears over receiving yards, like 15.5. That hit in the first quarter. Yeah, easy. So yeah, those were our picks. So kind of brutal early Sunday slate, but Sunday Night Football, we were right on the pulse. We just missed by literally one stat. So let's get into the Monday Night Football picks real quick. All right, guys. Before I'm taking the picks on Betr, new users sign up. You'll get a free $10 just for signing up to Betr. You also get a $200 bonus on your first deposit when you deposit into Betr, right? They're also going to give you a free Jalen Hurts square, so if you don't like any of my picks, you want to swap one out, you want to add it in, go ahead and do so, all right? And if you're not on Betr, you guys can also hop on Chalkboard, use my code TEACH10. New users get a 100% deposit match, so up to $100 bonus cash when you do deposit on Chalkboard, all right? Now, get into the picks here. Okay. First of 3 picks. My favorite pick of the night for Monday Night Football is A.J. Brown over 7.5 targets. Here's what I like about it. Okay. Now I know the line says 8 here. Couldn't get a 7.5 alternate line to display here. Anyways, we're looking to get 8 though, so that's really where the line's at. He's hit this in 6 out of his last 10 games, and in 2 of those games he's actually been right at 8. So if it were at 7.5, we would count both of these 2. So actually 8 of his last 10, this has gone over. If we're being technical here, all right. But really, we want to focus on these last 3 games. 11 targets, 10 targets, 12 targets. And his reception to target rates is 64%. Not bad if you think about from the quarterback perspective, where you think about completion percentage. You would want like high 60s is usually good. So over 65 we think is good. So 64%. Decent, but not necessarily the best, but he's getting a lot more volume, all right? So if he's not necessarily catching the ball, he's still getting the ball thrown to him a lot more. So that's what we're really looking for, all right? This Chargers defense is top 5 in receptions allowed, so that does bother me a little bit, but honestly not really because, looking at the last 3 teams that the Eagles have faced, 21st ranked Lions defense, 19th ranked Cowboys defense, divisional games, tough, and then 11th ranked Bears defense, he's still getting the ball. Now, you might say, well, they've lost their last 2 games when he's getting the ball a lot. Fair, but they also beat the Lions in a bit of a scrummy, kind of grinded out game as well. So make with that what you will. I like A.J. Brown to go over this line. I think it's going to be pretty easy. Jalen Hurts likes throwing to him right now as of recently, so I like that trend to continue going in this game for us for Monday Night Football. Okay? Now, heading into our second pick, okay, Jalen Hurts under 22.5 passing and rushing yards. Here's why. All right, the numbers really don't look pretty as of recently. You see a lot of red here, all right? Hasn't gone under a lot this season in this prop, all right? Primarily because of his passing yards, if we're being honest. He'll have a few rushing yards here and there, but like the most he's had is 62 rushing yards in a game where he actually went under this line against the Bucs. So even when he does rush, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's gonna go over this line. So that really works out in our favor. And what I like about this, honestly, in this matchup is looking here at this Chargers defense. This Chargers defense is second in the league in passing yards allowed, giving up less than 170 passing yards per game to their opponents, which is honestly incredible, really impressive. And they're 13th in the league in rushing yards allowed, giving up just under 107 yards rushing per game. Now, if you know the Eagles, they love to run with Saquon Barkley, but they haven't really been good at that this year with him. So Jalen Hurts does run occasionally, but looking here, yards per rush attempt under 4, doesn't really run that much, for being honest. Running and passing plays, they pass the ball definitely more than they have run this season, but it kind of has been fluctuating kind of throughout. So just really no consistency with this Eagles team. It is a lot of Jalen Hurts having to do stuff, but then also Jalen Hurts hurting them as well. Just kind of not really a great season you want to see from the last year's champs. So I know Jalen Hurts has gone over this in the last 2 games, but the Eagles have lost both those games too. A tough divisional game against the red-hot Cowboys, who have kind of started to click and on the defensive side after the trade to get Quentin Williams. So they've been able to get the quarterback a lot more and stuff the run, kind of hurrying Jalen Hurts in that game. And then against the Bears who have been a really good team, kind of a surprise, I guess, good team this year. Ben Johnson's really been putting them together, and they put the beat down the Eagles. So kind of tough with the make of these picks. Like, honestly, if I'm being 100% transparent, I'm not in love with these 3 picks that I'm giving you guys, but they're the 3 best picks that I've seen tonight. The first one was my favorite one with A.J. Brown. I do think he's going to get the targets. That's why I said targets, not receptions. That's also why I'm taking the Jalen Hurts under passing and rushing yards, because I don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to complete a ton of balls, because his completion rate, 65%, not good, but not bad either. Kind of like decent, honestly, but nothing really that jumps out at you. But you look at the last few games, all right, 69% completion percentage against the Cowboys, pretty good. But the Cowboys' pass defense specifically, not great. Then you go to the Bears, only 56% completion percentage, kind of a stinker against a pretty good pass defense team. They're going up against another good pass defense team in the Chargers, so I like for him to go way under this line. So that's part of it as well. Now, guys, heading into our third and final pick to close us out, Lat McConkey over 4.5 receptions. Here's why. All right, he's only gone over 4.5 receptions 4 out of his last 10 games. I get it. He did it in 4 straight games, and then he's been just 1 reception short in 4 of those games. Kind of tough to see. So you're like, uh-oh. Like, why is? Of course the line's at 4.5. Like, they don't want us. They want us to take the over, right? Well, here's interesting. This is something interesting. Look at this stat line here. Lat McConkey has exceeded 3.5 receptions in 17 of his last 19 games. And in those 19 games, he's averaging 5.6 receptions per game on average. All right? So he's averaging about over 5 catches in his last 20 games. That's a pretty big sample size. All right? But it's only over 3.5. So he's had a few games where he spiked up. But I love that. That's pretty consistent over a long string of games. The only thing that is concerning is Justin Herbert has been questionable this week because he just had hand surgery after he got injured in last week's game on his non-throwing hand. So his right hand's still good. It's his left hand. I don't really know how much that affects him. I want to say it doesn't really. I still love the consistency of Ladd McConkey over those last 19 games. I mean, 17 of the last 19 games, you're catching 4 balls at least. So we're getting at least some insurance there with that. So, that makes me feel pretty good about this. So I like Ladd McConkey to go over 4.5 receptions. I think we can do it. All right, guys. So those are my 3 picks for Monday Night Football. I don't know how I feel about this game, honestly. I feel like the Eagles will probably win, but then I don't know. The Chargers' pass defense seems pretty good. The Eagles haven't been clicking on offense, so could just be a stinker of a Monday night game where it's like 17-13. You're like, all right, yeah, that game happened, I guess. So, but A.J. Brown over 7.5 targets. Jalen Hurts under 222.5 passing and rushing yards combined. And Ladd McConkey over 4.5 receptions. That's all I got for Monday night, guys, and I will see you tomorrow for Tuesday night NBA picks.